The economics of disunity. Why Africans in the diaspora struggle to build collective wealth. Have you ever wondered why African communities abroad rarely create the kind of economic ecosystems that thrive amongst other migrant groups like the Chinese, India, or the Jewish diaspora? Have you ever wondered why they are so prosperous and able to carry out businesses unlike the rest of the African communities where sustainability and capital might be a problem? So you see, we live in some of the most advanced economies in the world, especially those that are abroad. Yet our collective wealth often lags behind. So today, let's explore the economic implications of Africans not supporting each other in diaspora and how that affects our long-term prosperity. So I am Dr. Dide Adewale and welcome to my channel where we unpack how economics and international relations shape our everyday lives. Today's episode takes a closer look at the economics of migration, integration, and community, and how a lack of collective strategy is costing Africans in the diaspora real financial power. So if you see, what is the mixed economic powers that I'm talking about? For example, the African diaspora is powerful with over 170 million people worldwide, sending more than $95 billion in remittances annually. So yes, most of that money goes into consumption. I'm sure you were shocked. Most of that money goes into consumption, not investment. This money doesn't do anything other than build houses we don't live in and funds short-term needs rather than long-term enterprises. Compare this to that of India or Chinese in the diaspora, where collective savings, ethnic banking networks, and business cooperatives generate multi-generational wealth. So why the lack of support and why is it persisting even with all the information out there? I would say there are deep historical and psychological roots, especially colonial legacies that have fractured trust and identity amongst the African community and Africans in diaspora. So many Africans migrate individually and not as communities, unlike some of these other migrant communities we are discussing on this episode. So there's limited shared infrastructure. There is no common financial cooperatives and, no common supply chain or even investment clubs. So in highly diverse Western society, immigrant groups often compete for visibility and acceptance, and the system certainly encourages fragmentation. So you see, immigration policies will classify us by nationality and actually not by collective regional strength. So immigration as a policy tool is another thing that you can use to understand this lack of collective wealth that I'm talking about. Honestly, immigration in many Western nations isn't purely humanitarian. It's actually economic strategy. So migrants fill labor gaps, they pay taxes and sustain aging populations. Basically, that's it. You fill the labor gaps, you pay your taxes, and you sustain aging populations. But if migrants remain economically disorganized, they actually stay dependent. Can you see it's a strategy? It's working. So a divided diaspora is very easy to absorb, but hard to empower. Very, very hard. So governments benefit when immigrants integrate as individuals and not a collective people trying to build wealth. I hope that resonates to you as you're on this episode and actually thinking, particularly about that brother's business you don't support, that person's business you run down, and the ones you try to scam, and the ones you try to do racketing from, where there's no consistency or even ethics or professionalism or even excellence. So the question becomes, are Africans in the diaspora merely participating in economics or shaping them? It's a very long shot of a question. But what I would say is there are definitely economic consequences for these things that we are doing. It looks like you have to support your tribe against another tribe. There are economic consequences. Even if you are in the UK and you see yourself like it was just myself and my family, you constitute a number and a form of statistics that is actually taking money and not putting it in the right channel and making us to look like we are poor and backward and not prosperous as a collective community. So economic consequences. When Africans abroad don't support each other, we lose collective bargaining power in politics, in business, and in finance. We miss out on the ability to create venture capital, not even just venture capital ecosystems, community credit unions, diaspora bonds. We miss out on the ability to make these things happen. We miss out on large scale property ownership. You just want to own a flat by yourself and you don't even want to tell your next neighbor how to do it. We miss out on so many information that is going out there that could actually help the community. It also means our children grow up disconnected from a culture of economic cooperation. So while other communities pass down shared enterprise and trust, we as Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Somalians, we are fragmented. We have a disconnected economic culture and we're passing it down to the children. And the result of this is a high individual achievement, but very low collective influence. So when you buy a mortgage, you think that's enough for you. When you get a car, you think that's enough for you. But actually, coming to the diaspora, you haven't achieved anything. It's a very hard truth to tell. So what's the pathway forward? Economic unity doesn't mean, sameness. Economic unity doesn't mean I'm black, you are black. Just let me know what you're doing so I can copy it and compete with you. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about how, you use voodoo or spiritual or religious means to compete and fight for something as flimsy as shifts and all those things. No. We're talking about strategy where we can build networks of professionals, investment cooperatives, and diaspora banked development funds. Just imagine if 10% of Africa's diaspora remittances were channeled into venture funds or community banks, that's nearly $10 billion a year for business creation. So supporting one another in business, mentorship, and finance isn't optional. It's economic survival in a competitive multicultural world. The earlier we understand this, the better. So the economics of disunity is simple. When we fail to collaborate, we strengthen systems that benefit from our separation. So the future belongs to only communities that build together. So for Africans in the diaspora, unity isn't just cultural, it's an economic policy. So in case you've been very inward into your approach, into your achievements over here, and you think you're just here to get a better life, do shifts, and send your money back home, you are actually just contributing to the economic empowerment of the one you are in. You're not building collective wealth. You're not saving, you can have family savings and all of that, but it will never match up to other communities that have more structured financing going on, more venture capital, more bonds, more realistic cultural identity. So what do you think? What practical steps can Africans abroad take to actually build wealth collectively? Share your ideas in the comments and subscribe for weekly conversations that connect economics, policy, and even the African experience. Till I see you again on my next episode, you take care.